Let's go into the nitty-gritty of some of the policy pledges that she outlined there. She said there's too much inequality, too little social mobility, too much paralysis in Washington. What else did she have to say?
Well, it was very interesting. She did take on Wall Street because one of the Trump's big knocks on her is that she's in Wall Street's hip pocket, and he can't allow that to happen. She said Wall Street cannot be allowed to wreck Main Street. And that was a very important a suggestion from her that she was not, in fact, going to just roll over and allow Wall Street to continue to do as it would. She also mentioned some very interesting initiatives where she said if companies basically take jobs out of America, they should have to bring money back into the coffers of the government so that it can be used to make new jobs for other people. That's never really been suggested before. It has been suggested, but it's never really been acted on. And all of these are very specific points addressing issues that Trump has tried to knock her on. And finally, I think she had a couple of very good lines. She said at one point, "Love trumps hate," a wonderful play on words, of course. And she also said, we have to have faith in each other. And that was a very important theme, I think. And she said, it's not a question of I alone can fix it. And that, again, is one of the themes I think that's going to be a big Democratic theme, a big Hillary Clinton theme against Donald Trump in the campaign, where he is the one person. He is, as President Obama said, a demagogue who can fix everything. Faith in each other. We all have to work together to fix things. And I think that was very important. And she said, join us. And she listed all of the different people who should join us. And it was a very inclusive kind of a speech, rather than an exclusive speech.
One of the main goals of this speech, of course, was to try and sell herself or paint a different picture of Hillary that we hadn't seen before. Did she manage to achieve that, do you think?
I think she did to a large extent. I mean, there's a certain timbre to her voice that also makes it difficult to really warm to her. But she did have some wonderful vignettes from her youth and from how she was growing up and her parents and how important they were. I had, frankly, very little sense that she had come from this very modest background, her father being a silkscreen painter and so on, in a manufacturer in Pennsylvania. So, this was an attempt to show that, I'm not this ice queen, who's been riding as Secretary of State to 112 countries and whatever. But I come from where you are. I feel your pain. I have felt your pain. And I know what it's like to stand up to bullies. And I will do that, as my mother taught me. That was very effective, too.
And, of course, the person that we saw on stage was very clearly a woman, and women's rights were also crucial in her message tonight.
They were. And she basically said, all of you women in America, and she does have, the poll suggests that she has 70 to 80% of the women vote, which is good. But she also says, basically, women are part of the family, and the family is very important to her. So what she's hoping to do, of course, is to transfer not only the woman vote to her, which she basically has locked up, but she also needs to bring along the family vote, the husbands and the fathers and the brothers and sisters.
Well, David, I think we actually listen now to what Clinton had to say on stage about women a short while ago.
Tonight, we've reached a milestone in our nation's march toward a more perfect union. The first time that a major party has nominated a woman for president. Standing here as my mother's daughter and my daughter's mother, I'm so happy this day has come. I'm happy for grandmothers and little girls and everyone in between. I'm happy for boys and men, because when any barrier falls in America, it clears the way for everyone.
Okay, that was Hillary Clinton speaking there about the importance of women's rights in her campaign. Still joined on set by David Andelman, our US political commentator. Let's talk about foreign policy. What was outlined there in the speech?
Well, she was very clear that she would be going after ISIS. This is something that Donald Trump has said, we're not going after them. I'm going to get rid of ISIS quickly. And she basically says, no, we have to go at it in an orderly fashion, in a systematic fashion, but we are going to go after them and go after them hard. And she had one interesting line that she went back to Jackie Kennedy. She said, I can't put it any better than Jackie Kennedy did after the Cuban Missile Crisis. She said that what worried President Kennedy during that very dangerous time was that a war might be started not by big men with self-control and restraint, but by little men, the ones moved by fear and pride. she was obviously talking about Donald Trump there. So she has a very clear sense that we have a strong military, they need to be unleashed, and we will unleash them, but it needs to be done in a systematic fashion. It can't be simply done by rejecting all of our enemies and moving forward.
And how does her foreign policy vision differ to that of Donald Trump's in this speech?
Well, for one thing, she was clearly very enamored of NATO, and she was very she really was committed to NATO. And Donald Trump is not. Donald Trump has basically written off NATO in many respects, which has caused fear broad swatches of Europe. But she really basically said NATO and our allies are critical to embrace in this time of particular need all over the world.
One of the clearly the key issues in America at the moment is gun control. And I think we actually listen now to what Clinton had to say about that issue, gun control.
Not here to repeal the Second Amendment. I'm not here to take away your guns. I just don't want you to be shot by someone who shouldn't have a gun in the first place. I refuse to believe we can't find common ground here. We have to heal the divides in our country, not just on guns, but on race, immigration, and more.
David, controlling gun crime and gun legislation, clearly a massive issue in this election.
Yes, and she was very clear about it. She says, I'm not getting rid of the Second Amendment, as you heard. But she also said we need to be working with responsible gun owners. We have to keep guns out of the hands of people who should not have them, the criminals, the terrorists, and so on. And that's been, obviously, she has put herself right directly in opposition to the NRA. She is hoping that there are enough people out there, enough voters out there who are prepared to embrace this concept of we need to do this to outweigh any of the power of the NRA, which has been, the National Rifle Association has been an enormous political force in this country and has totally endorsed and backed Donald Trump. And
just to summarize, it seemed to me that this speech was a really nice mix of humour and warmth, but it had obviously some very strong pledges. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes, it was certainly pledges. And what she's done is she's basically outlined the themes of her campaign going forward. As she goes out across the country now, these are the issues she's going to be discussing. These are the key issues she's going to be hitting in the debates, which are very crucial to this campaign. This campaign, I'm persuaded, will be won or lost on the debate stage in September and October.